Hi there, this is Dawn. Welcome back to my art room and welcome to my YouTube channel. Lovely to have you join me. In this video I'm just playing with the placement of the second vase of flowers. I started to do a little bit in the previous video and I've, had a week in Ballarat, so I haven't done anything, so I thought I'd better come back and do something. Just playing with the placement of the embroidered flowers. Somebody, one of my lovely followers, suggested putting some pink trim on the vase because I was humming and hawing. Was I going to do a pink vase? Was I going to do a blue vase? I couldn't decide. And what a great idea. I wish I could remember your name right at this very second. If I can, when I stop and start, I'll go back and have a bit of a look. So I thought I would just do a little bit of pink under there, just sort of like as just the edge of the vase. I've been playing with the flowers, trying to work out, so they're sort of, coming down this way from that corner over to here. I was going to needle turn it. I've needle turned the vase on and I've left the top open because I didn't know whether the flowers needed to go in, out, what they needed to do. I wanted to do the yellow because that brings in the bit of extra yellow that I've put in up there. I still might do a little bit of this shading down here because, I really loved the look of that. So I need to look at that. I need to stitch this on and then I need to stitch those on. So there, that's where I'm up to. Sorry, doing a bit of this because I'm thinking, what am I going to do? I'll take my fingers away and I'll do it off screen. All right, cool. All of those pinging that you could hear was all about, and it's still happening, is about how our lovely Corinne was getting back to Queensland and the floods that are going on up there. She's safe. She's safe. She's higher than where they are. They've had a humongous amount of rain. We've had nothing here, not even a dribble. Our pastures and our bush areas are as dry as chips. We're having to water. We've got bright blue skies and hot. You can hear the fan going in the background. But I just wanted to start the video and say I'm starting to work on this. In the next hour, I'm going to keep working on it, but I just needed to come and do this little preliminary. I was going to put some of my dyed lace. I had some of this, my dyed. No, I'm not going to use that. I changed my mind, just decided to use the leaves that came off the embroidery. So it's just a matter of now stitching them down, and I think I can get that done fairly quickly. Haven't done a lot of the other stuff that's up here. There you can't see. Anyway, it's going to happen. It's not yet. I want to play with this, get this done. There'll be a bit of cutting, because I've got these joins here, so there'll be a little bit of this and then a little bit of this, and I'll keep playing, and I'll still doing this because I'm thinking I'll come back and catch you up in a second. Okay, I'm still here. Okay, so I think I've got the flowers pinned where I want them. I've done a little bit of pink in the top there that is almost probably not going to be seen, but I've got a pink band there, which I quite like. Just did a bit of overcast stitching. I've added this bit of black tulle that I did on the, on the other red one, as using it for shading. And I've stitched that one down. Instead of using black thread to make it that dark, I've used this sort of like this sort of colour. Pale brown. Don't think it's got a real colour name. And so what I did was I simply went along the edge and sort of just like, you know, scooped the tulle a little bit so that it, like I pulled it to sort of gather it up a bit. Does that make sense? I'll do it again. So just sort of with my needle, just sort of like, just sort of to give it a little bit of extra depth and definition. I tried 2 layers of it, and on this vase I just thought it was a bit dark, so I didn't really want to do that. Yep, I'll show you when I come back up. I did the sort of same thing, sort of scooped it up. I think you can see vaguely what I'm doing. I hope you're all good. We've had a really hot weekend. It's Sunday night. It's actually public holiday weekend. Not that that makes much difference to Paul and I. Holiday every day. Once you're retired, that's what happens. Yeah, so, yeah, just means that there's not a lot else happening, but the weather has been so hot. It's almost like we're having a second summer. We've had no rain. It's as dry out there, which is, you know, that can have some level of concern. We noticed when we went to Ballarat last week how brown the countryside was, and now, and we weren't like that. We're in a bit of a green belt here. We get a high rainfall, and we have been green, but you know, this week been going out to my daughters every day to feed the animals because they're away, and you know, they live a bit more bush than we do, and just really noticing it. You know, I said to her when I pulled up today, you know, she could see me through the camera, and she goes, "What were you looking at?" And I said, "Well, you know, when I got out of the car, I just thought I'd better see if there was anything wriggling around on the ground, because it's just so hot and dry there, but there wasn't, so that was all right. Chooks are okay, the cat was okay, everybody was all right, and I was okay. But, you know, she actually said she thought it might even be too hot for things like snakes. They do get them up there. They get tiger snakes, which are not friendly. Nobody wants to know about it. But anyway, we haven't seen one for a bit. And I just didn't want to. I didn't want to either. Didn't want to. Goodness. Cool. So anyway, that's all right. They've had them. They haven't got any at the minute, but it's a bit sort of, when it's warm, they like to come out and sun themselves, and while they're back, the back of their property, they've put fencing that it's harder for snakes to have access to, only because she's got 2 little kids, so, you know, they need some safe space to play in. But the front of their property, which is their drive, is right beside another farm property that isn't fenced, and there's a dam up there, and snakes tend to like find a little bit of water. She's got a dam at the bottom of her property, which sort of kind of makes a bit of a you know, bit of a trail. When they first went there, they had quite a few, but they've seen a few less, so maybe they've moved on. Hopefully they've moved on. That's all right. The chooks, I've had a dozen eggs this week, which has been great because you can't buy an egg in a supermarket. The cat's all right. He's coping with... He'll be glad for them to be home tomorrow. They've been gone since Thursday, so he'll be glad to see them. But anyway, he was all right. He was coping. Chooks were coping. Everybody was coping. Just me being a bit cautious. All good. All good. We've heard from our lovely Corinne, and it's crazy weather up there. They've, in the town, the next big town next to where they live, is totally flooded out. I think she got home by the skin of her teeth, actually. I'm not sure that the planes would be landing there today. The water was running down the main street of Harvey Bay. I'm sure she'll tell us all about it when she gets around to it. But they're a bit higher, so yeah, they're all right. At the moment, they're okay. I've got family up in Brisbane. One's still got power, one doesn't have power. They're saying it's going to be some time before the power's restored. The one that doesn't have power has a generator, so that's good. And they'll be able to run their fridge, but, you know, makes for boring entertainment when you can't turn the telly on. Haven't heard back from them, but I think they're all right. They're all safe, so you know what? That's all that matters. So can you see what I'm doing? I'm just kind of like scooping it up, and this sort of pale browny colour, natural colour, is just becoming part of the background. The other one I did with black thread, and I could see the stitches, and I just thought for this one maybe I'd try something different. And yeah, I'm happy with it. I just like the vases to sit with something on the bottom to sort of ground them a little bit, so they're not sort of, you know, floating around in midair. I'm not sure when you'll get to see this video. It's actually Sunday night here. In the morning is when we normally, in Australia, when we get to see what Rachel and Sarah put up, so I might leave it, add to it, and then do something for tomorrow night, just so we're not rolling all over the top of each other. I'm not sure if there's another prompt tomorrow morning. Could be. Could very well be. Can't remember. Can't remember what the schedule is. I am nowhere near finished these ones, so it doesn't bother me if there isn't. I'm just really... I'm not keeping up at the minute. Going away doesn't help. And while I thought that I was going to stitch while I was away every night, oh no, by the time we had tea and came home, I'm just like, we were doing a bit of cyclone watching on the news. And we'd just sit around the table and talk, and I kept thinking I should go and get my stitching out, and I didn't. And every night I'd go, tomorrow I'll get my stitching out. I need to do some stitching every night. So for a week, I didn't do any. None of the others did either. Crazy. Oh no, one of the girls was crocheting, so she had that going. And Corinne stayed with us for a couple of nights, and she's like a little Energizer bunny, so she was all right. But that was the end of the week, and I was like, nah, can't be bothered now. So I took all of this extra panic packing for no reason. Never mind. That's all right. It'll happen now that I'm home. That was a bit tricky. I'm using this rayon thread, machine embroidery thread. It's a Madeira brand that I've had for yonks. It says rayon here, but it is Madeira. It's a machine embroidery thread. It's very fine, so it kind of disappears. You're not having to, it's a bit tricky to thread, that's all. I think I'm happy with where the flowers are at. I think they're going to be okay. And the leaves, kind of glad that I'm not doing thread painting on this bit. It's the other side's very intense, so I think it's good to have a break. But I do need to get back to it, because otherwise it's not going to get done. All right, cool. That's the shading on the vase. I've done the little pink stripe as a little bit of decoration. Yeah, I think it looks quite good there. I wished I'd had some pink in the flowers, but I didn't. They were only these colours, and they go with the overall colour scheme. But the big vase of flowers had lots of pink flowers in it, and that's why I thought bringing the pink down might be a good idea. I've got these bits of green leaf everywhere, but I think I've pinned down what I want. Nope, goes like that. Yeah, and that sort of, is coming down here, so that's all right. Ooh, got a bit of I need to probably change my position. I've been sitting here for a little bit. All right, cool. So what I did to get started on this, I'll show you. Just with a plain thread, I haven't bothered with the machine embroidery thread, just because I had that colour when it worked. So what I was doing when I started to stitch them was to sort of go in between the fabric and the embroidery. So I'll just start here from underneath, and then where this is here, what I was doing is actually going on a bit of an angle, so that I was making sure that I was catching some fabric, because otherwise, I've cut it away quite close, and so I'm sort of trying to go in underneath the embroidery. That one might have gone over the top. I did go a bit close and regretted that decision, but never mind. So what I'm doing is going sort of like almost underneath the embroidery, through the fabric, and all the way through. so that it'll catch. You know, it's a picture that's going to hang on the wall. It's not going to get a lot of wear and tear. So I'm hoping that that'll be okay. And once I've got to this point, hopefully, I won't be able to be putting too much stress on it. But, you know, if I pull it up, I'll add another stitch. We're nowhere near finished. It's going to be, you know, we're only March and it's not going to finish till the end of June. So if there's a problem, I could probably fix it. So it's just like a, you know, an overcast stitch in through underneath where that embroidery is, so that it's coming in on quite an angle, you know, like it's coming in way away from where the flower is. Yeah. And I'm using just a normal polyester thread, so it's got a bit more weight to it than the rayon thread does. Tried to mix up the flowers a little bit so that there was a couple of colours rather than just one colour in one spot. I've cut them up, so I've made the, you know, made the appliqué situation a little bit worse. Always good when you can get rid of those pins. Yeah, so excuse me. So while you've sort of got a few more flowers together, you've got a bit more fabric that you can stitch into, but flowers that are on their own don't have a lot. You know, a lot of extra fabric around them, because I've sort of like cut them away from each other. But because I'm doing little stitches, I don't think you're going to see them too much. Yeah. Well, once they're joined up, they kind of like disappear into the fabric. I need to, when I get there, I need to chuck that bit of vase in there. Oh, that's sticking out. That's all right. I will. Where am I up to? I lost my place. So this will be nice and quick, and then I'll be able to get back to that thread painting on the other flowers. On the main flowers of the other vase, this will be probably fairly quick. Yeah, well, you know, I don't know what time it is. It's like, I don't know, after 8. And it's still quite hot here. It's dark outside and got the fan going, and yeah, slept with the fan on over our bed last night for all of the night. It hasn't happened too often, but really been hot here. It's interesting, you know, we're a long way from where the cyclone is. Long, 1,000, you know, I don't know, 1,200 kilometres, something like that. But eventually, probably by later in the week, we will, we're hoping anyway, we're hoping And we usually often end up catching the tail end of the winds and the rain. While we don't have anything like the extreme conditions that's going on in Queensland at the minute, we may still get some rain, which will be welcomed here. We don't want a flood, but we do need rain. It's so dry. Everywhere's dry. And the air's dry. We started off having awful humidity when the summer started. Listen to me, I'm whinging about everything here. But we don't normally get humidity. It's dry normally here. It's not, Victoria doesn't normally. But anyway, we did. And that was really unusual for us. All right, I'm going to go around that leaf. Cool. All right, well, I think you can see where I'm headed. Once they get stitched down, they certainly become more integrated, and they look good. Good. There's my little vase. I've got a little bit of shading, not too much, but just enough to make it look like it's round. Good-o. All right, I might come back. All right, see what happens. Talk to you maybe again in a minute. Well, I'm back with probably the last bit of this video, I think. I've stitched all of these flowers down. I love it when they get stitched into the fabric. It just is, a look I love. But I came back to talk to you about this side, and the reason being is that I found things just move a little bit, when you're handling them. And so what I've found to be helpful is to start at the bottom and work my way up, so that if anything isn't quite sitting the way you want it, you've still got a chance to kind of pull it down. Some of these are going to go over the edge, but I'm all right with it. And so, I just wanted to come back and talk to you about that. All I've been doing, like the other side, is just simply doing a little overcast stitch, making sure the flowers are sitting just where I want them to sit. You'll be able to hear that fan again. It's going to be a hot day. It's already hot, and so I've shut everything up and got the cooler going and the fan in this room, just to have a bit of air movement, really. So my apologies for that noise, but it's a necessity when the weather's like it is. So this morning I've watched Rachel and Sarah working on this prompt, and some of what they were doing just gave me a bit of a inspiration. So thank you, girls. Rachel was doing some weaving on her leaves, and I'd forgotten about that. I've forgotten that I love it, and I've forgotten that I like the look of it. And so I thought, when I get back to working on that big vase of flowers again, I'm certainly going to incorporate some of that in my leaf areas, or even maybe in the big rose, in the big yellow rose that I've got. This one here, because this part has only had a weeny bit of stitching on it, and I really need to get stuck into it. And I want to get on with it. It's my I like it. And then Sarah talked about, well, she didn't actually do it. She did talk about using some beading in the centre of her flowers, and I thought, I didn't have them in my little box of goodies that I'm using to work on these flowers. I'd done a little bit in the, put a bead on those bullion tendrils, but I thought I need to put some beading in the centre of the flowers, because number one, I like it, and it was a great idea. I'd forgotten, that was another thing that I'd forgotten about. So thank you, Rachel and Sarah, for all those good ideas. Yep. So I'm just, being mindful about where I actually want that flower to sit. And so by starting at the bottom, I've still got a chance to do that, so that if I do pull something down too far, I can pull the next slot down. This one here probably needs to have some movement about it. So yeah, I think after I've done this, I'll take a photo. I'm finding this is nice and quick. Just stitching down embroidery that's already done. My biggest decision was where to put the flowers, and that takes time. Can't thread the needle. Just go in, for goodness sakes. We haven't got all day to be mucking about threading a needle. But I'm going to needle with a very tiny eye. So I might actually, for the sake of everyone's sanity, including my own, go to one that's not too thick. That's got a big eye. Get it in easily. Hopefully. Oh, for goodness sakes. Always. Had a bit of a tidy up in my workroom. It was needed some damage control. I'd got a whole lot of things out to take away with me, most of which I didn't use, I might tell you. I always do that panic pack Corinne was talking about, because I think I'm going to need that, I'm going to need this, and I didn't. I used some of it, but nowhere near the amount that I actually took. Craziness. That's all right. Even though some of these things are underneath, I've stitched them all on individually, just for that reason of moving things around if I felt like I needed to. I'm liking that the background is peeking through the flowers. Gosh, there must be a lump in there of something. Oh, it's probably this doily. Well, it looks nice. It's awful to stitch through, and I've obviously gone right through a crunchy bit. You can see that there. It's just making it a bit harder to stitch through. So finding a spot between those bits is somewhat challenging. God, it's right there. Gosh, is what I really meant to say. Oh, goodness me. Goodness. So yeah, so I think today is going to be one of those couch potato days. I don't need to be out and about in it. Paul's gone out for a bit. Crazy one. But the men's shed was open today, even though today is a public holiday here in Victoria. He likes getting together with the old blokes. So that's all right. He can go and do his fun things, and I can do my fun things. And we can come together for later in the day. It might still be a couch potato day even when he gets home. Catch up on some things that we quite like. We realised there was a series that we hadn't watched. Well, the new season of Yellowstone had started prior to Christmas, and I think it was just going away and then Christmas and I don't know what's happened. It's now. And I said to him this morning, we haven't watched that. And he goes, oh yeah, I forgot. So that's good. I thought he might have watched it while I wasn't here. And he didn't, so that's good. But I've got my mum and my stepdad onto the other ones that are, I don't know, it's like 1822 or something and 1922. And, while my mum was going, oh my gosh, they were so, it's a little bit bloodthirsty. They don't mind bashing each other up and cowboys and Indians and all that, but they've enjoyed it. And what I did notice is that there's a new part of that, the 1922 one, I think. And we haven't watched that either, so that's good. There's going to be a lot of stitching and a lot of TV on the couch in front of the air conditioner today. Oh yeah, I probably should do housework, but I'm not gonna. I can't be bothered. Nothing desperately needs doing. Clothes have been washed, the shopping's been done, the fridge is stacked and it's tidy. There's only two of us here. We don't make a lot of mess other than in my craft room. That always gets messy. I'm just stitching these little bits, those little bits of the doily there that was sticking up. And then I really want to get onto some of my other projects. Oh, I don't know. I always seem to have more than I've got time to do. But that's all right. It'll get done. There's no rush. Just enjoy the process. All right, when I get around to here, I'm going to stop because these leaves may need a reposition. I've noticed there's a bubble there. But I'm just going to do this last little bit with you and then chuff off and leave you to it. I'm really enjoying this project. I think the thing that I like about it is that, it's so free. You can just do whatever you want. While Rachel and Sarah have inspired us with this project, there's still definitely plenty of room for our own creativity. I'm just going to leave that one there, but I'm happy with it. One of the other things that Rachel talked about this morning was outlining, and I think these flowers are going to need an outline. Otherwise they might, this is so heavy, they might disappear. Don't know whether I'm really going to use my fluoros again. I like them there. I don't think this one needs it, but I don't know. I was kind of thinking, something a little bit darker, and I'm kind of doing, in this burnt orange colour, maybe a thread in that colourway. Oh, maybe some pink. I don't know. You'll see it when it's done, probably, in a picture. So that means not just at this second. It might be me putting it together in a few hours when I've completed this. But stitching these on is not taking very long, so it's good. Cool. All right. Yes, 12 minutes I've spent fiddling around here, but the majority of that was talking. All right, I'm going to love and leave you. The next time you see this will be stitched down and possibly some outlining, and then I'll get on to the other bit. Cool. All right, I hope this finds you all really well. We all are. Okay, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye for now.